And we are back.
All right, welcome back to DMV Rivals Summer 2023 edition. And today we actually, once again, we have FaZe as co-caster. I'm Derive, Dimitri. And then along this, we also have Rough Tough Afropuff joining us. Michael, introduce yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
Me and FaZe are draft dodgers, so we're here casting.
Yeah, we
You'll
are.
get, you'll get them next time.
Maybe.
Well, in any case, we do have two mid laners returning once again in their second match today. And this time they are versus, actually, Don't Wanna Gloat on the side of red side. So just as a general rundown of both teams, once again, two mid laners. They have Euphony in the top lane, Babbles in the jungle, Hoptech in the mid lane, and then Rags the Boss and Autumn in the bot lane. And then on the side of Don't Wanna Gloat, we have Big Boy Tonio in the top lane, Rixie in the jungle, Griefer World in the mid lane, Potential 5 and Interpede as well in the bot lane. So any matchups in particular you two are looking for? Any outstanding players?
From the from the game we watched of two mid laners, Rags Boss really had a good performance, even though they lost that game. Stand out, trying like making hero plays here and there, trading kills when really he was in no position to get kills. So I'm really looking forward to this ball lane matchup where Rise of Boss really is the standout performer for me for two mid laners. While Don't Want to Gloat has two very good players on paper in the bot lane, and waiting to see if their ranks and value can really show up.
Yeah, I think so. And also, I'd like to look a little bit at the mid lane. We have Hoptech versus Grifu World. I think, once again, two very talented mid laners. And we saw Hoptech going toe to toe with Allura in the last game. We'll see how he does up against Grifu World in this one.
Yeah, a bit of history between those two as well. Both going to UMD last year. Both tried to play for the UMD academy team. Looks like Hoptech ended up getting the slot. But yeah, I'm excited to see Hoptech versus Griefy World once again. It's always fun to see them play it out. Both have, I think, have unique play styles. Yeah. Just on top of that, on the side of Don't Want to Gloat, since we're seeing them again, Rixie is also, I think, a point of interest. This guy is constantly getting banned out for his early game junglers, and also just has a very selfless playstyle. Will oftentimes just go for these three camp ganks, or potentially just have some very unique pathing where he repeat ganks a lane very unexpectedly, and that can make the difference inside of just the game itself. If, for example, your bot lane gets a massive lead or mid lane and so on. So yeah, I'm excited to see how Don't Want to Gloat faces off against two mid laners. Two mid laners, they have to brush it off from last game. Yeah, we'll see if their mentality's in place.
Yeah, I think fortunately for the side of two mid laners, they do have some pretty strong mental. I think a lot of their players are just having fun playing in the tournament, and not necessarily needing to win every game to have fun. So we'll see if that helps them going into the next one, and maybe they can pull out their second win.
Yeah, I agree. I think just knowing some of the players personally, they will definitely shrug off some losses. Um, and yeah, I think the only case if you're going down like 5 games, then maybe it starts getting a bit tilting. But yeah, I think they're completely fine going into game 2 here.
Yeah, well, fortunately for all these teams, the majority of the competition will be happening in the bracket stage, as every team will be making it. So, losing a few games here might just be a good learning opportunity for some of these teams, and they can come back and be some of the top performers later on in the tournament.
I agree. I think some of these teams are really going to scale up in the playoffs. So maybe we see some unconventional picks, unconventional comps, maybe some building synergy between players, between champions that they want to test out in these games. So even if these teams end up with a not so pretty scoreline, still won't count them out for playoffs.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
go for it. We're both being very polite, but yeah, I think in general, um, a lot of teams just have to adapt. In a way, the stage is a very kind of introductory one. It's not very punishing at all. Seeding, however, does matter a lot. As we are trying to get our caster into lobby. One moment.
Is it full right now?
Yeah, looks like you can join in now.
Okay. Yeah, we should have the draft up here any moment now.
Any champions you guys are looking from any specific player? I know we've had a lot of one tricks on previous teams, but I'm not too familiar with the players on these teams. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I know don't want to gloat since they're kind of being introduced here. I know Rixie often is targeted for his Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai, you saw last game with Nore piloting it, has a big potential just to make picks, have early game plays. Using those walls, you can basically just go over almost any wall in the game, and you can have some really creative paths due to that.
I
Yeah.
do know people are saying Rek'Sai is very strong right now with multiple different builds, at least on the LCS cast. So I've not personally seen much of this champion, but I do know the early game potential is very, very strong. So if they do pick the Rek'Sai, are you looking to see him gank top, bot, or just maybe push or get pressure mid, rotate bot? Like, what are you expecting for?
Yeah, I think I like the idea of getting pressure mid and then rotating bot. It just makes the play a lot easier, even it's a bit more telegraphed. But being able to 4v3 dive or 4v2 dive, it just makes it very easy. But yeah, I think him going bot lane is also to be expected. I think it just depends on where the enemy jungler is. But yeah, the champion, you haven't really seen that much in competitive in the past. It kind of was just known to being kind of the solo queue champion where you just have these like early game cheese ganks. But yeah, the champion is a lot more well balanced now. You mentioned with the buffs and the item changes, multiple builds. You can basically be this versatile fighter.
Yeah, and it looks like we're into the draft now. So speaking of the Rek'Sai, already banned out here. So we'll have to talk about that much more this game. But yeah, taking that away from Rixie, definitely a good idea here.
Yeah, immediately we see the Nico ban being targeted towards Hoptech. Looks like Grifu World does not want that matchup. And we have a Victor ban actually, very curious. Like sort of pinching the mid lane pool right here, that being targeted towards Grifu World. And then we're getting some bans. Zeri did actually get some changes recently. They removed the Spellblade on her Q, and they moved it onto her Lightning passive, so it's a lot less useful. But they did buff her crit scalings.
Yeah, I think
They
has
also
been doing pretty.
removed. Oh,
No, good.
they also removed the shield stealing and move speed on, I guess, shield. One of the two. They removed a lot of parts of her passive, so she's very not as much powerful anymore.
Yeah, she's definitely been struggling early on into this patch, especially in solo queue. And it looks like they will leave up Babbles' Ivern. And so I think for the first time this tournament, he'll be able to show that off, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, pretty good to know. Yeah, the last ban is J4, once again targeting towards Rixie and his playstyle of having these very creative paths and early ganks. And then Poppy ban, I'm actually surprised it almost slid through. All the way to the third ban. Once again, Euphonia, I think, on the champion is unrivaled.
We are getting an early ganker in the Xin Zhao. First pick? That's a bit early. I don't think there was any prio on him, especially when the enemy team picks their jungler already.
I think it makes sense. Oftentimes, when one team picks their jungler early, it's good just to get a response and show little. You don't want to show your hand at all. So in this case, there's picking Xin Zhao and then a staple ADC pick in the Philios, what we saw last game, being early picked.
Yeah, I think despite
Yeah, we've seen Milio falling through the first and second picks so far. As we were discussing before the game, Milio has gotten a few nerfs, so maybe the prio on Milio has really fallen.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the stats are showing that Milio is doing a lot worse this patch. I mean, I think they did target Milio synergy in particular with certain ADCs like the Lucian. So I think things like the Milio Ashe can still be quite strong, and some of these more long range ADCs. But yeah, it's seems like getting a lot less priority as they're going to opt for a Lulu pick despite not having picked their ADC yet.
All right, interesting. So they do have a weak side top laner with Gragas, basically very self-sustaining. Did get it nerfed this patch, so his sustain will get a bit touched. but the Lulu as well with the Iron, I think they're setting up for this very strong ADC pick right here. Given all the setup with all the utility, I think they just have to put all their eggs in that basket, but we don't see it quite yet, so we have to wait till second phase for that.
Gwen picked up. I guess this could be in response to the Gragas. I'm not sure how that matchup goes, but I would say usually that Gragas can be flexed mid, but I do not know if Hoptech plays it at all. And we have seen Gragas top from 2 mid laners before, so probably not a flex.
Yeah, I think Hoptech does sometimes bring out the Gragas, but I think the really tell for Gragas going top for me is the fact that with Euphonia off the Poppy, Gragas is just by far his best champion remaining.
Yeah, I'd agree. And now we're starting to see some of those bot lane bans coming in through, the Xayah being banned away, basically enabling them to go push forward a bit more without having the Xayah ult being available. Also, we saw Rags the Boss playing it with the Yuumi quite a lot. Milio on the other side, finally slipping through. Showing it wasn't banned or wasn't picked in the first phase, but maybe both teams just have a lower priority on it now.
Yeah, I think with double shield like Lulu Ivern, they want to go some type of hyper carry. So maybe we'll see a Lulu Kog'Maw, the old combo, or it's banned. So maybe they might go on to a lower tier hyper carry such as Jinx or even something crazy like a Twitch.
Yeah, I would have loved to see the Kog'Maw. Imagine Kog'Maw, Lulu, Ivern. That champion would be unkillable. Along with the Gragas as the front line.
I do actually love the mention of the Twitch. I think that champion would be a nice thing to see, as he's been doing very well in solo queue, and especially with the nerfs coming out onto champs like the Jinx, this could lead the way for that picked up in one of these games coming up.
Yeah, I really like this Thresh so far. Not only does it provide affiliates with a lot of safety, but also you can go for some Thresh Flash Lantern plays with the Xin Zhao. This used to be quite a big combo back when Xin Zhao was a meta. You would pick Thresh alongside it and then just Xin Zhao would just walk down the lane essentially. Yeah, the Tristana pick, what do you guys think about this?
The Tristana or the Thresh? The Tristana is pretty interesting into the Thresh, considering that Thresh can really mind game the Tristana. You have so many ways to cancel the flay or the jump. You can flay it out, or you can mind game the hook. Like even if you walk up to her, you have to mind game the rocket jump away. So I'm not sure about the Tristana into Thresh personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also interesting that Tristana we do see sometimes going towards the mid lane instead of the ADC. Also a champion that can be flex bot lane, so depending on what Don't Want to Gloat opt for as their mid laner here, it might be there might be a little bit of room for some flexibility there with the picks of 2 mid laners.
We see a Gragas Yasuo combo though in the top mid jungle, so maybe these level 6 at Herald skirmishes could be pretty spicy. But the Vladimir picked, I think you said this was a very, very strong pick.
Yeah, I think Vlad is pretty good into the Yasuo as well, able to get the Qs through the wind wall and just that ranged into melee advantage, and Yasuo having a hard time getting onto Vladimir with the pool. So I think a pretty smart pick for Euphonia here to answer this Yasuo, or excuse me, for Grieful World, not Euphonia. Oops.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised to see Hoptech on the Yasuo. They do have the Gragas, but I don't quite see him too often on this champion. But yeah, I like to see the pick. I like that he's doing some new picks as well. And I believe this matchup mid lane should actually be Yasuo favorite early on. Vladimir is not that strong in lane. And Yasuo has a lot of all-in potential at level 2. So we'll have to see if he can get that advantage early on. Yeah, Grieful World on his Vladimir, he was well known for it in the past. Basically, he used to play a bunch of Vladimir, and then he moved on to a lot more Kassadin when Kassadin was really strong, when he got the E-buffs. Yeah, it looks like he's back on the Vladimir once again, just old bread and butter. I'm excited to see him on the pick as well.
Yeah, I'm not too psyched about this Yasuo, because if you his mid jungle 2v2 will be strong in the early game, but when it comes to team fights, this Yasuo I think will struggle a lot, because if you're trying to melee Xin Zhao or Gwen, you really won't win until they use their abilities. But by that time, Aphelios is hitting you. But like, I think this Yasuo won't get much done in team fights.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Usually when you pick the Gragas Yasuo combo, you are going to try to dive onto their backline. If Casket lands on the Aphelios can get Yasuo ulted and stuff like that. But yeah, if the Gwen and Xin Zhao or Thresh interrupt him in the meanwhile, make he can't actually get the combo down, or if Gragas can't enter the fight, then as you mentioned, those melee champions are just going to be a menace to the Yasuo.
Mm. But we do need to keep an eye on the Xin Zhao early game. Not past mid game, this champ is not much, but early game will outpace the Ivern and have stronger gank setup. So I think looking towards this bot lane of Tristana Lulu, especially into Aphelios Thresh, I think Aphelios Thresh will be able to really get prio because I think they're just stronger laners. And if Xin Zhao can look bot, it'll like Ivern can't help that much in return, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm really going to be looking towards this Tristana this game. We've already seen Rags to Boss have some very excellent performances. And, with the Lulu shields and the Ivern shields there and the Gragas to make space, this could really be his game to pop off and carry for his team.
Yeah, I imagine it have to be somewhat outside of laning phase, though, as you meant, or as Michael mentioned earlier with the Thresh matchup, but Thresh plays her out. So 2v2, probably can't get too much done. But yeah, with the Ivern, hopefully they can at least get a few kills with the gank.
I'm also excited to see this Gwen in action because, what's his name? What's the top laner?
Euphonia?
No, the other team.
Big Boy Tonio?
Yeah, Big Boy Tonio. Opting to pick this Gwen into the Gragas. On paper, I think it's a pretty good matchup, and Gwen does very well into Gragas in solo queue. We'll see if that can translate to this game because I think Gwen has a pretty good opportunity to kind of separate some of these fights, and if the Gwen can get on to things like the Yasuo and the Tristana, then it could be pretty dangerous for the side of two mid laners this game.
Yeah, I want to see some redemption for Big Boy Tonio. He's had a few rough patches playing against Chesto in one of the previous games. Yeah, this time versus Euphonia on the Gragas. We'll have to see how he fares.
Yeah, Euphonia also having a few rough games, so we'll see which of them can sort of step it up in this one and start to right some of their wrongs.
Yeah, exactly. Also, with the matchup right here, don't want to gloat right now. Being 0-2, two mid laners. Currently, they are 1-4 as well. So record-wise, both of these teams are yearning for that win. Both basically having less than one. It's going to be quite a battle. I'm excited to see this out. And I think both teams have honestly chosen very heavy skirmishing team fighting comps. So I think we're going to have a really good game here.
Yeah, I hope these teams are looking for kills and not going to just handshake because Vladimir, while he can handshake, every other champ on his team kind of wants to skirmish like before then. So I hope this, with Gragas Yasuo getting 6 and Tristana Lulu, we see some action around the objectives.
Yeah, let's see the electrocute Vladimir. Xin Zhao going across the map, or Tristana hopping in. I just want to see the action.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting ready to go into this game in just a few seconds here. Who are you guys giving the edge in this draft?
I don't want to gloat the edge on this draft because while I think two mid laners has tools to like kind of nullify damage in the wind wall, I think unless they have a very like picture perfect team fight, it's gonna be hard to win those fights.
Yeah, on one hand, I'm struggling because TML Ivern is just so broken right now. We saw Daisy. I believe what was the team? I believe it was Conjoined Twins ended up playing at the Daisy, and or not the Daisy, the Ivern. May as well be Daisy. Just completely going across the map, stomping all the lanes. But yeah, notably, there what's it called TML wants to look for interpede. Since Aphelios untouched can basically just go completely crazy in a team fight with a flamethrower. But notably, there is also the target of Grifu World, so I'm not sure if they can really like Gragas combo him down as well, or Tristana jump onto him. given the pool. So I think I kind of agree. I want to say DWG probably has a better comp.
Grifu World, no flash. Is this just cocky or is this like actually good?
I like it. A Ghost Ignite as well. Not even.
Is this like good?
Dark Seal start as well. This guy is confident.
It seems pretty cocky, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We have all 10 champions here in the bot lane level 1. We'll see if anything happens, but I think both teams will probably opt just to back off here.
Yeah, they're giving a bit of a dance. Both teams just, you know, saluting each other. Yeah, I'm actually surprised by the runes choices, however. I think the Hoptech on the Yasuo does have the advantage early on. Vladimir, once he hits 6, starts slightly turning it. Yeah, curious to see.
I'm also surprised Grief World choosing that Conqueror here because I think Phase Rush can be very effective in some of these melee matchups as a tool to escape when something like the Yasuo jumping on you.
Yeah, I'm not too certain about Vlad, but I think nowadays oftentimes he goes Conquer. You can probably stack it up quite easily with the E into a team fight. But yeah, I'm not too sure.
We see both junglers starting Glacial's top side, both pathing towards bot. Hoptech with a good trade early. Oh, okay.
Yeah, oftentimes early on, Yasuo will start the E, especially if he's into an easier lane. And that way he can dash forward, proc the lethal tempo, and continue auto-attacking person down. In this case, it looks like a potential 5 and inner P. They were able to sleep the ward out at level 1. And we do see a lot more action going on bot lane than we did last game.
Yeah, we see inner P going to longsword 3 pots. I like to start a lot more because, of course, you get 3 pots to trade a lot more in lane. You only really lose out against the Doran's Blade and an all-in. And you have a longsword towards an actual item instead of just sitting on a diva that you're going to sell later. So, I really like that start, personally.
Yeah, the hook barely misses there. Looks like just play with inner P to get to that level 2 pretty early. Try to make that hook play, but actually barely comes short. They're still going forward. Level 2 to now hit.
Yeah, nicely played by Autumn and Rags to match level 2, dodging the hook out here, and yeah, they'll be pretty comfortable in this lane despite the Aphelios Thresh getting the early push.
Yeah, I want to point out both junglers. We'll go for it.
Yeah, after all the trades, Grifu World not even using a potion is like pretty healthy, so I guess his start, while greedy, is working out for him.
Yeah, it looks like we have Rixie just waiting around in the bot side, expecting Ivern to be down here. I'm not sure if that Scryer has ended up spotting him out, but now they do spot out the Ivern. Looks like there might be a fight in the river. Oh, actually both junglers will just end up eyeing each other down.
Yeah, I think Rixie wants to fight, but he knows that even though he beats the Ivern, if he also moves, the Vladimir is just not the same fighting power.
Babbles has arrived in the mid lane to help out his mid laner, but he does miss the Q, and Hoptech now going very low.
Yeah, that was close to a solo kill right there. Grifu World popped both the summoners, both TP and the, not the TP, the Ghost and the Ignite, but fight going on, Rixie going on to Babbles, but imagine not that much goes on there.
Yeah, we see the early game power of the Xin Zhao. His mid laner was not going to walk past the minion wave to come help him, and he was a little bit deep, so just backs off and goes towards wolves.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out...
as potential 5 lands, the Death Sentence onto Rags, Inner P now continue to chain the CC, but they don't have quite enough damage. It looks like the Thresh will go down, so does the Tristana, and an even trade, but looks like a summoner advantage and the ADC surviving for the side of Don't Want to Gloat.
Yeah, big advantage in the Thresh there.
Classic Thresh, you hit the hook and you die for it, but definitely worth for the side of Inner P and potential 5.
Yeah, as a Thresh main yourself, how do you expect the bot lane matchup to play out with this, given the fact that Rags the boss doesn't have Flash anymore and Thresh now has Flash? Like, what can you go for now?
You can really, I think, if you're, the only danger you're really in is if you walk past minion wave and take both Lulu and Tristana damage. If your AD carry is with you, you can actually just walk up and whiff both, and then you'll probably be fine, because if they jump on you, you and your AD carry will out damage with just autos and E. So being up this advantage is very big for Thresh.
Yeah, nice W coming out there from the Gwen. You know, Gwen is immune and able to dodge out on the CC from Babbles and Euphonia there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised Babbles is going for that gank. He has all his camps up available. You saw in the very first clear, Rixie did 4 camp, whereas Babbles did a full clear. They ended up being bot lane at the same time. So in a way, you can also outpace your jungler, or an enemy jungler if you use full clear once again.
We see potential 5C, even if he just whiffs the hook, he can just kind of walk away and be fine. Because he knows with the threat that these two have, it's like Lulu Tristana will not have enough damage unless they really misplay. But I'm surprised how Rixie has not gotten a lot done yet.
It's potential 5 landing the flay onto Rags. Not able to follow up with the death sentence yet as a nice jump from Rags, but now Rixie coming behind, jumping onto Rags, and the polymorph comes out, but Lulu is forced to flash to escape. And as it looks like Interpede not quite able to finish her off with the last auto.
Oh yeah, Autumn played that very well. The polymorph was perfectly timed. You saw that the Xin Zhao, Rixie wasn't able to get that third auto attack that knocks Rags the boss off. Yeah, if he got that knock up, that means Rags the boss is dead for sure. And you saw Autumn at the very end with the shield, making sure that she lives, ends up forcing Interpede's flash from the turret.
Yeah, as it looks like
Euphonia looked mid for maybe a Gragas Yasuo combo, but by the drag.
Oh, I don't know if that's what you want to walk into.
Yeah, the death sentence coming onto Babbles, but really now all of two mid laners has arrived, now jumping onto Interpede, able to finish off the kill. Rags the boss with the reset. PopTech landing the ult onto 2, gets the double kill, and Grifu World is sure to go down as well. Nobody dying on the side of 2 mid laners.
Yeah, I guess I was wrong. That's exactly what it'll walk in. What anybody would have walk in.
Yeah, it was kind of a really risky way for Babbles to walk in, but they had no damage after the Thresh CC landed, and we see Interpede stuck in the Dragon Pit while PopTech can just auto away and get the ulti off to live in the rest of the skirmish. Like, very, very... I'm not sure if it was well played or lucky from the side of 2 mid laners that they all lived on 1 HP and nobody died, but the result is really, really good for them.
Yeah, looks like we have a pause coming in through. Apparently, their support is dying IRL. Yeah, hopefully Autumn doesn't die here. That would be very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but given this team fight, okay, we do see TML now up 2k. We see a lot of that gold also on the Yasuo and the Tristana. How do you expect fights to play out bot side from here on out?
Aiden, you want to take that, or?
Sure. Sure. I mean, I think now with the Tristana up a kill and probably getting very close to first item, I think they will definitely have the edge now in the bot lane, and it might be a bit hard for Rixie to make anything happen if Ivern can match these plays, because they might just not have the damage to get through the Ivern shield and the health of these two champions. And this will be very helpful for HawkTech as well, who, going pretty even at first in the lane with the Vladimir, will now be able to, threaten more damage with the infusion of items that he was able to receive.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. It looks like Rixie as well is going for that serrated Dirk. So usually with lethality builds on Xin Zhao, there's kind of feast or famine. If you don't get anything done early on, then you're just gonna be blown apart like very easily. No HP, no durability. You're basically all damage. So I'm curious if he's going for like a Eclipse or a Dustblade. I know Dustblade has shown a lot of, I guess, popularity on a lot of other champions, like some champions like Aatrox going instead of Eclipse. Yeah, but interestingly, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, honestly, at this point in the game, he's not going to be ahead enough for the lethality to really matter. It might be a little bit troll, but I honestly think a Serpent's Fang would not be bad against Ivern Lulu who want to shield up a Tristana, right? Or a Yasuo.
Well, you might be right, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of shields on the side. So maybe he just first items that. I imagine that might be a bit troll, but I don't know, maybe it works.
Maybe it works, but you said that Tristana would be really ahead, but they are. Oh, we're really far back in the game.
I'm
But
trying to make sure this gets started again after the pause. Looks like we're good now, though.
they are just even in items bought, but once Lulu ticks 6, the Aphelios Thresh no longer has the damage to out damage through Lulu Ultimate. So the bot 2v2 will be a little bit. It's going to be a lot harder. I think they'll just try to handshake and not get jumped on in bot lane.
Yeah, one thing that is going for the side of don't want to gloat. P, despite being down a kill, does have around 20 CS advantage, and that basically equals a kill. So both ADCs on the same items right now. But notably mid lane, however, there's pretty big discrepancy there. Hoptech already getting the Greaves and the Zeal item. You see him in mid lane going for those aggressive trades. Rixie, however, popping up behind him in the mid lane, potentially going for a play here. Oh, never mind.
And it looks like Euphonia will be going for this CDR heavy Gragas build that Baus popularized. Probably will be rushing for a lot of books and getting that first item. Its name is eluding me, but Everfrost, yes. Going for that first item, Everfrost might be able to, get some favorable trades onto the Gwen pretty soon in this lane.
I was about to say GLP.
Top lane is looking a little rough for Tony, or Big Boy Tonio. He will never out-sustain this Gragas and not really out-trade him either, so he's just looking to handshake and pick up farm and lane to scale.
Yeah, bot meanwhile, Babel is looking for another gank.
Yeah, Ragzboss jumping onto and the insect onto Interpede. I'm not sure that was necessary there, but a pretty funny play as Ragzboss really flexing his muscles on the bot lane of Don't Want to Gloat.
Yeah, Ragzboss loves to flex, and I like the confidence from him.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. Looked very stylish. Yeah, Interpede, as you mentioned, didn't have the flash available, so maybe a bit unnecessary. But you know what? If you do it in style.
But Rixie potentially coming in here to counter the jump in from Hoptech. Griefer might be able to bait him in, but Babbles has arrived. The Gragas coming down as well, and Zinzao might not be in the best spot. Able to land the barrel onto Griefu World, who's still barely living. Daisy chasing him down, but won't be able to finish him quite off yet. Oh wait, but Daisy, a couple more autos with Big Boy Tonio arriving as well, jumping onto the team. Hoptech just with enough damage to finish off both of them.
Oh,
excellently played by Hoptech.
For a second, I thought we were gonna have another Daisy moment right there with Griefer World almost being taken down by Daisy under turret from a. But yeah, Hoptech really well played right there, just like dancing across all the champions on the side of Don't Want to Gloat. But Bali, potentially another fight right here.
Lands the flay onto Autumn, but not using the death sentence. Lands it onto the Tristana, but Thresh already going down very low. Interpede lands the ult, lands the not quite, and not able to get a kill despite going very aggressive there.
It's another tragedy in the mid lane, another skirmish that we thought, or I thought, Don't Want to Glow would have advantages in, but Hoptech with the beautiful windmill to make Big Boy Tonio's ulti really awkward to try and hit. He was dancing in and out of the windmill, so Tonio had to either ult towards the Gragas or not be able to finish the Yasuo. And he was not able to at all, but we see the hook land.
Yeah, nice chain CC, but Hoptech has arrived and able to finish off potential 5 as they'll chase down Interpede as well. Babel's here, and it looks like Team 2 mid laners just playing very well as a team and always there to collapse and support each other.
I'll just say it. That's a tilt here. There's been like 6 champions now on the side of TML that have been basically 1 HP. Only just to be saved last second, either by a Lulu shield, Lulu ult, Iron shield, or just some random circumstances like Yasuo shield coming back up. And I don't know, that must feel awful.
Yeah, this is such a tilter. He lands the hook and is about to finish it off, but the Lulu ulti comes in and knocks up for the Yasuo ulti under tower. So just unlucky for turn of events, but honestly, the positioning from Babbles to be behind them, even if they got the kill, they probably would have both died. So I think just superior team play from 2 mid laners here.
Yeah, really well movement, or really nice movement across the map. Looks like they are going to go for the dragon here soon as well. That's spawning right now. Yeah, looks like don't want to gloat. They have some more into them. Mid lane fight going
Hoptech
on
now
here.
jumping onto Grifu World. Grifu World uses the ult. Hoptech lands the knockup, but I think that might have been a bit too greedy as he'll go down to the Zinzao.
I think it's pretty good that it goes on in Zinzao though. Like this Zinzao is still not going to be in the game. The 800 gold shutdown, luckily just not on the Vladimir, but still not good to have gold go over. But
Yeah,
at
this
least
is
it's
actually
on.
pretty big though. This is the second dragon now going over to don't want to gloat. They, despite them losing 4 people in the first dragon, they do end up getting the second one here, and they're slowly starting to stack towards Soul.
Oh, as a
TP top
TP
lane.
coming out from Hoptech, a bit of
Oh, bro,
an
look,
interesting
Arsenal,
play.
bro.
The
Whips!
Gragas not quite with enough damage, and Hoptech able to finish off the kill, but not without the cost of his own life. The death sentence landing onto Ragstabos, who's now trading back onto Interpede, and Ragstabos just a bit too fed, not quite able to finish off the kill though, and the death sentence lands again, but all the shielding from the Ivern is just making it impossible for this guy to go down, and now Daisy coming out will probably be able to chase down and kill off potential 5.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, 2 mid laners played that so poorly, but it was just Lulu and Ivern kept like Ragsboss tanked every single part of the enemy team's kit and just lived.
This guy's getting like plus 600 HP when both these shields are on. He just can't kill him.
What was that, man?
He'll,
Really well played for potential 5 and Interpede, just could not get through all of the
he
shielding
lands
and
another
Lulu.
flay.
Yeah.
Ragsboss jumping forward, and the shutdown goes to Interpede, and Autumn will surely go down. Oh, the bomb just enough to finish off Interpede, and the shield again. Potential 5 is going to go down, and the shields are just endless, it seems like, for the side of 2 mid laners.
Yeah, I think if I was potential 5 here, I'd be a lot of it tilted. Like, what is going on down here? I'm hitting every ability on this guy, and he's not dying? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it looks so good. He got the Hex Flash flay into the hook. Onto the Tristana. Tristana's basically completely immobile, but yeah, you saw it. She got the Bomba onto Interpede just before she died.
I mean,
And
at
Battles
least
once again just returning down there, securing the kill, shielding Autumn, making sure she doesn't die as well. Top lane turret, however, falling down off the fact that Hoptech TP'd up there.
It's a 5k gold lead for 2 mid laners. Oh my.
at least the Aphelios was able to claim the shutdown on the Tristana, so a little bit more gold for himself. But yeah, the team's still very far behind. Euphony has arrived, uses the Everfrost, but not quite enough damage to get anyone down there.
Yeah, can we actually pull up the gold on the screen? Yeah, it looks like bot despite all the brawling going down there, ADC is only 600 between each other.
But the support gap. The support gold gap is quite big. And while that usually wouldn't matter in a tank versus tank matchup, it really matters when you have an enchanter versus a thresh, because when these enchanter items come in, it just makes this AD carry even harder to catch out, which is what Thresh wants to do in the mid game.
Yeah, and with double the enchanter items coming in because of this Ivern, it might be a little bit too hard for them to kill this Tristana. It looks like we have Euphonia TP deep into the bot lane, but the rest of the team is there to follow up, and a nice death sentence comes out, and Euphonia will die before anything else can happen. So a bit of an overstep by Euphonia there.
Yeah, I think they wanted to push wave into tower, take tower, and look for a Gragas Yasuo combo, but I think Euphonia just went a little bit too early, didn't have the opportunity to flash any CC. But they're looking again, maybe a Tristana ulti into Yasuo ulti this time.
Or yeah, I think they're assessing something out though, the fact that Tristana just randomly walked outside the bush like that. They're both just sitting under turret, making sure nothing happens.
Yeah,
and I think it is still Mia, so
I think they might be able to get the turret down here, as now they're popping the Daisy and continuing to kill down potential 5. I think he'll be having his 5th death of the game here. Hoptech dashing onto Rixie, able to secure the kill onto him as well.
Yeah, that was super well played. It doesn't show on the camera, but Rags the boss actually ended up jumping forward and ulting Interpede to secure the Yasuo ult. Yasuo by himself obviously needs the 3 Qs to stack up, or the Gragas, but given that Euphonia died before, Rags the boss now taking to himself to make sure that Yasuo gets the knockup.
Yeah, at this point I wouldn't mind seeing a makeshift Malphite ulti, tactical style. Put your Tristana in there, Lulu ult him, bro. Like, this game is really getting away from don't want to gloat. 2 mid laners very far ahead of this game.
Yeah, Hoftech 7-2, Rags the boss 5-2 as well. Yeah, Babel is Autumn, both with an incredible amount of assists. I think just this 4-man squad has just been playing exceptionally well. All the skirmishes and team fights have just been very neck and neck up until now. Now they're just solidly winning the fights.
Yeah, and I think Euphonia, despite being weak-sided for almost all of the game, able to take 2 turrets for himself in both the top and mid lane. So, despite that one hiccup with the TP, a little bit too greedy there, is doing a good job of getting some gold for his team, despite being on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've not seen Rixie do much, and we're reaching the point in the game where his champion is becoming very, very outscaled. His value in the early game skirmishes was not found by his team. He wasn't able to find that 3rd Q knock up, really gap close with his team and knock anyone out. So it's looking rough for Don't Want to Gloat.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see when the shield breaker item comes out. Looks like oftentimes just forget that item exists, but now with the prevalence of Ivern and then all these enchantress supports, at least last patch, it's been a lot more popularized in the games.
Yeah, I think Don't Want to Gloat is going to, since they have 2 Drakes, they have the luxury of being able to just give objectives and wait to scale. The good thing about Gwen and Vladimir is that it doesn't really matter how far behind you are if you have 2 or 3 items. You will still do damage, you will still be pseudo unkillable with your untargetable Ws. So if you play the fights well, you do have a chance.
Yeah, what would you say you don't want to gloat to do right now? Looks like Baron spawning in 30 seconds.
Yeah, you can give up dragons, but giving up a Baron, I think, would kind of be a little too, it would accelerate the game a little bit too much. So I would say try, and use TP pressure, but they are down 2 TP, so they're down 1 TP with their Ignite Ghost mid laner, so it is difficult. Their lane assignments are pretty good with their non-TP member pushing out top, but it's going to be really dangerous trying to push out mid and contest mid lane.
As the Shirelia's pop, Babel's now running at potential 5, lands the root, Hoptech not quite ready to go in, but Daisy coming out, and the TP again from Euphonia. As this time he'll pop the stopwatch immediately, maybe a bit scared of after the last time, but it looks like Rixie a bit too far forward. And a nice cast coming out. Hoptech able to jump onto the backline. The flash body slam, and Euphonia is just running through this fight. Rags now jumping in as well, landing not quite the triple kill. Does go down, but the other 4 are able to clean up the rest of the kills, and that will probably be them heading towards the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, just what I was about to say, it's going to be really hard for them to contest mid-wave down, numbers because of their lack of TP. The fight, again, we see a lot of 2 mid laners members are low, but they are unable to finish any of these kills with the shields and the heals on the correct targets. With the Baron secured, I think this game just might be done and dusted.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Don't Want to Gloat, maybe with the still some opportunities to come back into this game. None of their inner turrets have gone down yet. That will probably happen with the Baron, but they still do have the Thresh. And if they're able to get some picks, maybe they could find some footing back into this game. But it's going to be very tough, especially with nearly 10,000 gold lead coming out for 2 mid laners.
Yeah, usually at this point, you're just kind of hoping for those shutdowns either on Rags or Tech. But given the fact that you have both a Lulu and Ivern on your team, you have to play exceptionally poorly to somehow die, essentially.
Yeah, and if we look at the items coming over for Don't Want to Gloat, they aren't at their item spikes that they need to be at. Grief World not even completing the Zanyas yet. Big Boy Tonio not at his mythic. The premier mage item that they would want this game is Shadow Flame because of, again, all of the shields on the side of 2 mid laners, but it looks like they're not going to get enough gold to do that. We see the Serpent's Fang though. Maybe this is the hope.
Let's go. Yeah, maybe you can break some of those shields.
Oh
Mambo
no!
coming
Euphemia
through.
throwing out an explosive cast, but not really getting much with it. But
Optic, get in there. He's just flexing a bit, throwing his ult in the middle of nowhere. But you can do that at this point, no big deal.
Yeah, it's quarter of the way back, third of the way back now. We'll see Grief
Rixie now jumping in, and the ult coming out from the Aphelios, but it looks like it won't be quite enough damage to finish off. Euphemia is forced to blow the Zanyas, and a nice hook from potential 5 coming out, but Rixie will find himself going down as well. Hoptech now going forward, and you know, a 1-for-1 does delay the push a little bit, but with the health bar still alive for two mid laners, I think they'll be able to keep pushing into the space.
The 1-for-1 is a bit advantageous for Don't Wanna Gloat though, because they get rid of the range or the like more guaranteed knockups for this Yasuo in the team fight.
Yeah,
And
big
Daisy,
thing however,
yeah.
Rixie taken down, that's their shield breaker. So
Oh
right
no!
now, TML can just walk forward a bit on the next wave. Looks like they might not actually go for it with Rixie spawning up quite soon. Instead they'll be going to the dragon.
It is nice to see them at least still looking for plays, you know, not completely lifeless in this game. Some nice plays from the Thresh and Rixie there to you know, secure some foothold back into the game, but they're just so far behind, it's tough for anything to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're just going to have to pray later on that TML makes a mistake. Maybe Interpede or Griefy World do get that shutdown. Yeah, maybe they make a numbers play. Hopefully they can get either a 5v3 or 2v1. Hoptech.
Hoptech a bit far forward here. Big Antonio jumping onto him, and the flay coming out from potential 5. Not quite ready to use the death sentence, but with Rixie arriving, Hoptech is sure to go down, and the gold does go onto the Gwen.
Yeah, and as we were mentioning numbers plays, we see 3 collapsing onto Hoptech. Hoptech, Babbles and Autumn barely out of reach. They were running towards him, but unfortunately were not able to get there in time. And yeah, shutdown going over to, I believe it may have been Big Boy Tonio.
Yeah, it's a huge shutdown actually. He completes his mythic and is going towards the Zanyas, it looks like. But just getting like caught out from Hoptech. His team is on Dragon. The rest of his team is based. He's kind of just pushing bot wave by himself and just hands over for 800 gold. So those are the type of plays that Don't Want to Go need to get back in this game.
Yeah. I do see the gold gap still around 7k. Baron, however, spawning in 2 minutes. They do have a bit more time just to set up, get vision, and maybe make a hook play. But we'll have to see.
I mean, it was definitely nice of Don't Want to Gloat to secure those 2 dragons early on into the game, which will delay the sort of inevitability of 2 mid laners picking up that soul for quite a while, and you know, that might be what they need to find some footholds back into the game.
And yeah, and speaking of the soul, it is.
Oh, but Rags now jumping onto Interpede, pops the bomb, but now Rags might be too far, flashing through the entire team and lands the kill onto Interpede, now jumping through the team again. Some nice damage coming out from Big Boy Tonio, but the ult from Hoptech able to catch him out, and he'll go down as well.
Yeah, they look for a play, but Rags the boss again just.
Yeah, Hoptech now continuing towards potential 5. Then the cast comes out, and it looks like Hoptech will finish that kill out as well. A nice root coming onto Griefo World, preventing him from participating in the fight, and he'll have to pop the pool to escape.
Yeah, right now it's 2v5, and then their Nexus turrets, they're going for more.
Yeah, and it looks like everyone will go down, and I think that'll be all she wrote.
The story of this game, he can't finish anyone off.
Oh, Interpede possibly looking for more with the Gale Force. He's going on to Babbles, but unfortunately he doesn't damage the shield, and that will just be the game. It looks like 2 mid laners will take down Don't Want to Gloat in their second match, coming back strong from their first loss.
Yeah, I think Hoptech and Rags the Boss having the standout performances there that we needed them to in order to get some wins on the board, because they were starting to fall quite behind, they really were the carries that their team needed this game, and Babble's definitely there a lot to support and help out with those shields. So very good on all the players here to really pop off in this game.
Yeah, exactly. Who would you give the MVP to, do you think?
it's very close here. I think Autumn having some hero plays with the W and the shields in the early game, and I think I think if I had to give the MVP out though, I'd have to give it to Hoptech. He was just always there when his team needed to, and landed some crucial knockups and combos in the early game, winning, and was the main carry in winning out these early skirmishes.
Agreed. His ulti in the first dragon fight, securing 2 kills and saving the rest of his team, was huge. Again, in a fight near mid tower where his wind wall denying the Gwen ulti, Hoptech was just outstanding this game.
Yeah, I think he was on point. Masterfully using that E just to get dodging abilities. And then making space with the Ivern and Lulu shields as well. Making sure that he's maximizing his damage output while staying alive at very low HPs. I think it takes a lot of skill for that. So well played, side of 2 mid laners. And don't want to gloat, despite their loss, there is still hope. They do have 3 games left ahead of them. And we will be seeing them in a bit, I believe at 11 p.m. Let me double check.
Yeah, 11 p.m. against the Habibi Hunters.
BB Hunters, what a great name.
Yeah, hopefully they recoup as well. We did see TML, recoup after their first loss, so don't want to gloat. Still trying to go for their first win, and it might be their case there.
Yeah,
what would you want to see them improve for their next game in order to pick up that much needed win?
Ban Ivern.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like I highly doubt that Babbles will be getting his Ivern again in the tournament. He was just a monster in that game, and they're doing very well. So we'll see if any other teams continue to let Ivern through here.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think they had a lot of good proactive plays. Like we saw in the bot lane fight, the dragon fight, all of these were basically neck and neck. Like if one champion goes down, instead of them going to like 10 HP instead, that could have made the difference in the game. Like if they're just getting 3 kills or 2 kills, or in this case, Griefy World also potentially getting 2 or 3 kills, really could have made a difference. So I want to say it was a bit unlucky, but it's also just due to the Ivern and Lulu shields. If one of those components is being taken out, then the fights might have been a bit more close.
Yeah, I personally want to see a little bit more team coordination in these fights. Like in these fights that you say a lot of, as we saw, they're all living with 1 or like very low HP, but I think it was also because when the CC was landing, they were not coordinated in putting the damage down on the CC target, which allowed them to walk away and then get shielded when this damage finally came in. I didn't see many thresh hooks into other combos, CC chains, or the Xin in the early skirmishes really like singling out a target. So I want to see some better team coordination from Don't Want to Gloat.
Yeah, I think that Interpede and who is it? Potential 5 did have some pretty good individual moments, especially I think Potential 5 getting quite unlucky in quite a few plays. I did really like some of the death sentences he was going for, and maybe without that Ivern there to bail them out, he could have dominated that lane in the way we might have expected from something like the Thresh of Felios.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, it's another top lane really matters game where we did not see the Gwen have much of a game impact. The Gragas was useful in giving the Yasuo the ultimates, but yeah. Maybe we can find a way to get top more involved in the game.
Yeah, and it looks like we're gonna probably have to get into our next game pretty shortly here. We did end that one a little bit late, so yeah, next up we'll have Habibi Hunters going up against Platinum Players Poggies, which should be a pretty exciting matchup. It's 2 of the top teams in the tournament so far. Habibi Hunters currently undefeated, and Platinum Players Poggies 4-1. So we'll see who's able to win that one, but we're going to take a short break in between. So catch you guys soon.